It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Hey, good morning and welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this, the 15th day of September, 2020, coming to you from Central Virginia, Forest in Bedford County, right outside of Lynchburg. And of course, in a day that's going to be dominated once again by weather. I do want to get a couple personal matters out of the way first before we get to the news of the day. And this is specifically for Emily up in New York. Emily is the one that constantly is commenting about my t-shirts. And just for you, Emily, I'm going to unveil a new t-shirt today, which is Chickens, the Pet That Poops Breakfast. So that is the new shirt, and that is what I'm wearing. And the reason that I kind of cheated and took a picture so I don't have to stand up, but you can see the chickens that the Pet That Poops Breakfast. That's the new t-shirt today, just all for Emily up there in New York. Yesterday, of course, most of you know I went to see the surgeon about my knee. Boy, my hair's all messed up this morning, isn't it? Oh, well. Hurricanes. Went to see the surgeon about my knee. And I was hoping that he would say, okay, it's time, we got to replace it. There's just no way around that, which is what I said. It's time to replace it. And he says, you're right. It's time to replace your knee after you lose 28 pounds. Which I called him several names that I can't say on air because YouTube would block me permanently. But he is sending me, in fact, to therapy. I start on the 2nd. He said, look, let's try to get you some exercise. Let's try to work on it a little bit, and maybe we can help you to lose some weight, and we'll get the weight to where, you know, I got a level that I have to be at before they'll replace the knee. I'm too fat to replace the knee because I guess I'd screw the damn thing up. I don't know. But anyway, I did get another steroid injection, which is, I don't know, about the 15th time I've gotten injections in my knee. This one hurt a lot. And I had a bit of a reaction to it. The reason I was I stayed pretty much offline all day yesterday because I felt like crap. But I'm feeling better today. The knee's feeling better. It's gone from the pain that I've been in for a couple months now to basically it's just kind of achy this morning and that's more from the injection than anything. But overall, the knee feels better. So, you know, hopefully I can get a couple more months out of an injection that, you know, that I can survive, and then maybe I can get the weight off. Yeah. Obviously, that's not a strong suit of mine. But, all right. We got to talk about weather, of course. And this is, boy, this has just been crazy. Those of you that watched the show on Saturday are aware that I was actually ahead of everybody in talking about Hurricane Sally as to when it was going to become a hurricane, that it would rapidly advance to a Category 2 or possibly a Category 3. And that did, yesterday, way ahead of when the Weather Channel and all those folks were talking about it becoming at first just a Category 1. They weren't even talking about Category 2 or Category 3. And by the end of the day yesterday, they were saying there's a possibility it could be a Category 3. Well, then we got a little wind shear during the night last night. It sucked in some drier air on the southwest side of the storm, and it allowed it to weaken some during the night. So currently, as of, let's see if I'll refresh my screen to see if the latest, the 11 o'clock is up. It is still at 85 miles an hour. So it's come down from 100. They were saying that it would come ashore at 105. It's down to 85 miles an hour. The pressure dropped a little further this morning. It's stayed the same this last update to 983 millibars. The crucial thing about that is it still could possibly strengthen some more, but they don't think so since it let some drier air in the west corner of the storm that allowed it to weaken a little during the night. That's probably going to stay pretty much copacetic. But it is parked offshore, I don't know, some 50, 60 miles offshore. I don't know the exact mileage offshore. Let's see if it says this. But anyway, it's just offshore, off the Gulf Coast, but it's only moving at 2 miles an hour. Yesterday, when they were talking about how this storm was going to slow down and just creep along, they were talking about 5 miles an hour. It would still have a forward movement of 5 miles an hour. This thing is at 2 miles an hour. That means it's going to take forever. We could be well into the day or maybe to tomorrow evening before we see landfall, depending on, it's going to jig and jog around a little bit on where it actually comes ashore. I said yesterday that my target, what I thought it would see it is Pascagoula, Mississippi. It could be anywhere from Pensacola, Florida, over to, well, it's not going to go to New Orleans, at least for landfall. Somewhere in the Pascagoula area, Gulfport, Alabama, somewhere along in that little stretch is where we will see landfall. So where we see landfall is going to determine, when it hopefully starts moving out and, of course, weakening. But in the meantime, just sitting where it is right now, moving at 2 miles an hour, you got a ton of rain that's coming in. There's talking now the possibility of up to 30 inches of rain along the Gulf shores from the Florida Panhandle, including Pensacola, on west. Of course, that end of it, the rains and the terrific storm surge of as much as 11 feet, that's going to affect all the way over into New Orleans as well and into Louisiana. But especially along the Mississippi, Alabama, far western panhandle of Florida, you could have 2 feet or more of rain because this thing is just going to sit there and keep dumping more rain and more rain and more rain. And it's going to be like, last year, when the storm was sitting over Freeport all that time, over Grand Bahamas Island and Abaco, and we were going nuts. Let's move that thing out of there. And then we had a similar situation in Texas where it sat for what seemed like forever. This is going to sit forever, and it's going to keep dumping rain and rain and rain with winds and storm surge and cause major flooding in all probability through this entire area. So the latest update from National Hurricane Center as far as Hurricane Sally goes, life-threatening storm surge expected from the mouth of the Mississippi River to the Okaloosa-Walton County line in Florida Panhandle. The highest inundation is expected to be along the Alabama coast, including Mobile Bay. Historic life-threatening flash flooding is likely through Wednesday night along and just inland of the coast of the western Florida Panhandle to far southeastern Mississippi. So they're calling for major flooding. And it's just, it's going to be tough. Now, the one thing that is a benefit, if there is, because this thing is being so slow, it was not turning. It was on a west-northwesterly course from the time it crossed over South Florida, headed directly for New Orleans. If you'd put a straight line from Key West to New Orleans, it didn't vary from off that line hardly at all coming across the Gulf. Well, it finally, at the 8 o'clock update this morning, had a turn from west-northwest. It finally gave a tick to the right, which it changed to northwesterly direction, which is the first indication we have had of it turning. So it's supposed to turn to a completely northerly direction and then have its landfall somewhere along Mississippi, Alabama coast, along in there. And the last update is still northwest at 2 miles per hour. So that's Hurricane Sally. It's going to dump a ton of rain. So you guys need to be, everybody probably has done all your preparations for this before the thing completely stops. So y'all just stay safe down there anywhere in the Gulf Coast states. Once this thing comes on board, has landfall and starts moving again, it's probably going to hook around and come across Georgia. They're talking 3 to 5 inches of rain in Atlanta, South Carolina, possibly into Charlotte. At first, it looks like we were going to get maybe some of it by Friday here in Virginia, at least the tail end of it. But now, because it's so little movement for a long time, if we're up into tomorrow evening before we actually see landfall, which is a possibility if it stays at 2 miles an hour, that's probably going to end up pushing this thing toward the Atlantic Ocean more in the area of Carolina, as opposed to coming up in through Virginia. So we'll just have to wait and see on that one. So that's Sally. Now, if you noticed on this crazy map that I got up in front of you, there are a number of other items that we got to look at. First of all, and one thing that I didn't do on this one, because I'm not used to having this here. When we're talking about Sally, let's take a second and take a look at this. That's some pretty good waves coming in there. And then this is so that's a little on the rugged side. Now, yesterday, Hurricane Paulette, which we've talked about for about 10 days now, Paulette was a direct hit on Bermuda. Which we thought it was just going to skirt by Bermuda because that's not that big a target. But it was a direct hit on Bermuda. Bermuda was without power the entire island most of the day yesterday before they started getting some power restored. This is what some of that looked like.
This is Hurricane Paulette.
So that's Paulette up there in Kings Wharf, Bermuda. Now, Paulette is going to go on out. It's heading in a northeasterly direction. It's going to turn to a southerly direction and just kind of hook around into the Atlantic and die. Is expected to. Now, there are several other systems we need to look at. The little yellow axe up here is not much of one, but it is a disturbance. This is disturbance 3. I got strange nomenclature for them now. This is disturbance 3. It's got a very low probability of any advancement. Of course, that's pretty far north. The orange X right off the coast of Africa has a 70% chance of a development over the next 5 days. That is disturbance 2. The yellow X over here off of Mexico, down off to the south west of Hurricane Sally, is disturbance 1. It is probably not going to do much. A very small chance, 20%. Before I get to Vicky and Teddy, out in the Pacific side of things, there is Karina, which is out in the Pacific. It's moving away from land. It's not expected to interact with anything, but it's there. Now, that brings us back to Teddy, which we've talked about for several days now, only it hadn't become a name storm. Teddy is now a name storm, Tropical Storm Teddy. Its winds have picked up to 65 miles an hour. Pressure has dropped to 999. It's moving west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. Likelihood of this becoming a hurricane is very high. However, the direction that this should follow, this was earlier this morning. I don't know if that's changed now or not, but it's just going to head up in the general direction of Bermuda again and fizzle out, even if it becomes a hurricane. So it could be a hurricane later today or tomorrow, and it's going to be a weak one, only last a day or two. By the weekend, it should be fizzled out unless it gets some, picks up some more strength and starts heading toward Bermuda again, which, of course, we'll have to watch out for that. The other one is Vicky, that's a little closer to the coast of Africa. As of 11 o'clock this morning, it's picked up to 50 miles an hour. Pressure is 1,004 millibars, so that still hasn't dropped enough to really give it a whole lot of strengthening. It's moving west-northwest at 9 miles an hour, so it's not going to catch up to Teddy. But there's still a probability that Vicky could advance on to becoming a further situation over the next couple days, but the likelihood of it becoming a hurricane is relatively low. But it's still worth watching because at this time of year, you just never know what's going to happen out there. So that's 8 total storms or disturbances on the maps this morning, which is nuts. And we've still got 48% of the season left. The next name storm will be Wilfred, and then we go into the other alphabet. So who knows what's going to happen with that. All right. A couple other stories this morning. Although obviously the weather situation was dominant. My phone is buzzing like crazy on me. All right, let's talk about New York. Since we talked about Emily, I teased Emily a little already today. That's governor of New York. It appears that 6 states are expected to be removed off the New York travel advisory list later today. Based on the updated data, California, Hawaii, Maryland, Minnesota, Nevada, and Ohio are expected to be removed from New York's travel advisory list. The 6 states are likely to be removed during the day today because the 7-day rolling average of new cases per 100,000 people in each state has fallen below 10. No states are expected to be added. Last week's update, there's nothing removed, but Delaware, Maryland, Ohio, and West Virginia were added to the governor's list, while Puerto Rico and the Virgin Islands were removed from the travel list, even though they're not states. So we got some states that, and again, My hat's off. Again, I'm not making a political statement about this, folks, but my hat's off to the way they've handled things in New York. Other than the very early on in this thing when they had a bit of a screw up with nursing homes and putting people in nursing homes, and that caused some problems. But they didn't know. After they really started doing this, New York's done a marvelous job of going from worst to best. So hats off to them. The other thing, news that came out actually this morning has to do with Carnival. And Carnival Corporation has announced that it will be accelerating the removal of the least efficient cruise ships by removing a further 5 vessels from its global fleet. Previously, Carnival was planning to dispose of 13 ships, and we know what the 13 are now. We've talked about those, and some of them have been scrapped, some of them have been sold, some of them are in long-term dry dock or whatever they call that thing. But now they're talking about 5 more. And of course, Carnival is not saying what 5 they are going to be. However, some company that I'm not familiar with, let's see if I see that, Peace Boat. Earlier today, Peace Boat announced that it would be welcoming what sounds like the current Sun Princess to its fleet in the spring of 2021. So it sounds to me like the Sun Princess is going to be, and that's the Sun Princess you're looking at. Sun Princess is going to be one of the 5 additional Carnival ships that are going goodbye. Now, there have been rumors as to them trying to sell Cunard and rumors of them trying to sell, who was it, Seabourn or somebody else, I don't know, which they, vociferously denied those rumors. There was talking at one time of some of the other ships in the same classification as the Fantasy and all those that they scrapped. Who knows? So, assuming the Sun Princess is correct, and somebody says that apparently they've already agreed to terms of buying it, we're going to have to wait and see what the other 4 are. But there's going to be 4 more Carnival ships going away. So. That's it on the news this morning. Let's go over and see who's here in the chat room. I haven't even looked actually this morning. Gretchen's with us. Good morning, Gretchen. Tom Henry is with us over in Richmond. And it's chili time. Yes, it is. Great t-shirt. Thank you, Gretchen. Yeah, I figure Emily will get a kick out of that one too. Tom says it really makes him want some eggs. Yeah, that's right. I got a couple of new ones that I'll be wearing here in the next little bit. Hey, Pete's with us. Good morning, Pete. Pete's, of course, the guy that talks funny. He's over in London. My partner in crime and corruption. Amy's with us. Hi, guys. Getting my flu shot. I'll have to catch the replay. Okay, Amy, good luck with the flu shot. You know what? I need to check on that. I usually get mine closer to Thanksgiving, but they're talking that maybe you should get them a little early this year. So I need to go online and with my doctor and say, hey, dude, when do you want to stick me? I'll be happy to come in and get it anytime. I wish it was a vaccination for COVID too. Mix them together. A cocktail. Heat wave in UK, according to Pete, 90 degrees. Yeah, for London, that's hot. Gretchen says cool here last night, 40s, 72 today. Yeah, we're going to have that starting here Saturday. We've got five or six nights in a row. It's going to be down in the 40s, a couple nights in the low 40s, which means definitely for me, the pool's done for the year. Because no way it's going to warm back up enough for me to get my fat butt in it. Tom Henry says, I'm wondering how Bonnie's doing. Been a while since she has had any presence anywhere. I've talked to her a couple times, Tom. She was fussing about Bubba going out in the storm a couple days ago, and he walked out and took a look at the skies and ran back in and said, "I'm not going to go pee. You go outside with Princess and get wet," which Bonnie did. So Bubba waited until the storm let up and then finally went out. But yeah, she's been offline quite a bit. Of course, a lot of it's, weather situation down there has been ridiculous. So let's see. Sonny's with us. Hey, Sonny, good to see you this morning. Tom Henry says, Mom called to say another death in the family. My dad's brother this time. Wow, 1 week after Al. Sorry to hear that, Tom. That's tough. That's terrible. Nikki says, good morning, everybody. Well, let's see what else is on down here. Condolences. Of course, everybody's giving Tom condolences on. Hey, there's Emily. See there, Emily. I knew if I talked about you, you'd show up. If you just popped in and you missed the first couple minutes, you got to go back and watch it. Pete says, hi, Emily. Chili's been talking about you already. Yeah, I've been talking about you. Were your ears burning? Tom wants to know. You guys are just throwing me under the bus. Wow. I do a good job of that by myself, though. Bruce says your amp is delayed due to his smoky weather. Not safe to go outside due to the smoke. That's, yeah. Where is the R name storm? What the hell was the R name storm now? I've forgotten. I come to think about it. Did we have an R? Yeah, Renee. And it was out there for a couple of days and fizzles. Didn't do anything. But it was enough to be a storm, a named storm. How quickly we forget. And that was just R. That was just a couple letters ago. I think the yellow X on that map, that might have been what's left of Renee, come to think about it. But anyway, yeah, Pete says perfect weather for Emily to go kayaking. He's talking about over there in England, Emily, not kayaking in New York, because you're probably getting some of this cold weather too up there. Tom Henry, I envisioned Emily on her board on the Bermuda cliff. Yeah, that would have been about right. Somebody sitting up in a motel taking pictures of Emily out there in that water. Nikki says, growing up on the coast of South Carolina, I remember walking out on a fishing pier with my daddy when I was about 10 years old. Waves splashing over the pier. I think all of us, maybe at one time or another, have been in that situation, and it's scary. I lived in Florida a couple of years since when I was on a pier like that in some rough seas. Emily says, not today. I'm supposed to do one more paddleboard on Saturday, but the temperature will be 62. We'll cancel. All temperatures tonight will be in the high 40s. Water will be cold. Yeah. I'm glad you're feeling it. I'm not getting in it once it gets that cold. No, I'll wait till next year. Actually, it's the doctor is one of the reasons that he wants me to go to therapy is because I have not felt safe to go to the Y because of my situation with, not just because of me, but because, my sister's 10 years older than I am, and my brother-in-law's 4 years older than she is. So it's an effort to protect all three of us while we are totally still on lockdown. So the doctor says, okay, we'll take it to therapy. That's just like coming to the doctor's office here, because they're part of the orthopedic association that I go to. And they have the same rules. Everybody has to wear a mask. You're not allowed in the place without a mask. They check your temperature going in. You fill out a health questionnaire. The whole shooting match. If you have shown any signs, they won't let you in. I mean, of course, people could still lie about it, but still, they're doing it right. So he says, now the therapy is going to be the exact same way. The people you'll be dealing with there follow the same guidelines that I have to follow here. I said, okay. He says, you probably want to think about at least going to the Y to get in the pool, swim some laps. He said, I'm not saying you need to go back to your classes like you took, because then again, you're going to be around people. But to swim laps, you can probably get by with that. You're not going to be able to get in a hot tub because they probably don't have them open, which they don't. I've already found that out. Or the sauna, which are the two most important things I did at the Y, other than a little exercise. But he said that way you can at least get in the water again and swim a little and try to build up some strength that way and get some exercise. He says, I would be comfortable in recommending you do that. But he says, you have to come to that conclusion. So, we talked a little bit about it with sister and brother-in-law last night. And I don't know. We'll see. I still, let's get the damn test. Get the pregnancy test going. That's what I want. Let's see, where are we here? Emily's still talking there. Virginia's still on New York's list. I've not seen it taken off. And since we've had we've holding steady though, but I think we're maybe holding steady too high for the New York list. I'm pretty sure we're still on the list, Tom. Chili's been watching the cruise law news. I try not to, but I get stories from other sources as he does. MSC has completed their 4th cruise without a problem. Yeah, that's one thing is good news is you don't hear much about. That's right. 4 cruises now, then they have not had a single problem other than that one couple that they kicked off the boat. Great news, Peter. You go on an MSC. Now, Pete has not been on MSC, and I have not been on MSC either. That's one of the bucket list things. I was hoping to do an MSC this year. I was going to wait and catch, when they have some terrific deals on short-termers, when they've got to filling a boat up. I mean, you can get a 7-day cruise on an MSC ship sometimes for $299, $399 for a 7-night. So I was planning on looking for and trying to catch a it's just short-termer, excuse me. But I want to do an MSC. It's totally different than what all of us are used to with our Americanized cruises, be it Carnival or Norwegian or Royal Caribbean or Princess or any of those ships. MSC is a different ball game altogether. It's very European, obviously. The food's going to be different. The languages on board are going to be different. Although they all speak English, so you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, I'm willing to try an MSC. Emma did an MSC year before last, and she loved it. Of course, she loves everything. Tom says, Pete, let's get Cruise Law News to post something positive with the MSC news. Good luck on that. If it's negative, he'll post it. But if it's positive, I don't know. Fauci gets flu shots before October 31st, not too early. Well, that's what I keep hearing. So I'm going to check I'm assuming my doctor has stuff in stock. Of course, he's getting in there to get it, but I'm going to look into that. Like I say, my normal thing, I go every year for annual physical and all that stuff, and that's when they give me the shot. And was it every other year? Yeah, or every third year or something? You have to take a pneumonia shot too, the pneumonia booster or something. I didn't do it for years, and I guess when I got up to about 65 or so, my doctor says, "No, dude, you're going to take a flu shot. You're going to start taking flu shots." Okay. And I have, and I haven't been sick since with the flu. So, I was probably should have taken it a lot longer. Let's see here. See if there's anything else worth. Emily says it's 61 there today. We're supposed to actually get up to 72 here. I believe it is today. Emily says she's going to walk the dog with jeans, no shorts. Yeah, 61's a little. Yeah, I wore shorts yesterday when I went to the doctor because I knew I was. At the absolute worst, I was going to get jabbed in the knee with a damn needle. So I wore shorts yesterday, and it was a little nippy yesterday morning for shorts. But I did that so I didn't have to mess with pants in the doctor's office when he's going to jab me with a damn needle and I hit him with something that would be down there. My foot, people. Get your mind out of the gutter, Emily. MSC launching inclusive deals for 2021. That's good to know. Again, I haven't looked at a lot of that stuff. Good prices on MSC right now. Sales, Sonny says. You guys are staying on top of that more than I am because I have on my website, which, I don't talk about my website a whole lot. On my website, I just have, it's very incomplete. I do try to get cruises around the United States. So all the U.S. ports. As a matter of fact, this morning, I'm actually working on doing some cruises, the back half of the cruises from Boston that go into Montreal and Quebec. They actually have departures from Montreal and Quebec to go back to Boston, which I don't even have on my website. I have the first half of it, and then I have a blank for 7 days. So I'm actually working on opening up a section with cruises from Montreal, is what I was working on before I went on the air today. But all I have, as far as MSC goes, are the 4 ships that have been in the States: the Divina, the Harmonia, the Meraviglia, and the Seaside. And I know the Seaside's going to Europe. So I think maybe another one of their ships will be coming over to replace that at some point in time. But anyway, I need to spend more time working on expanding the website. But it takes time, something that I don't have a whole lot of. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. Again, I'll be staying on top of the weather situation. It looks like the Gulf Coast is going to be nasty, for at least 24 to 36 hours. Just right there without it moving hardly at all. Just keep dumping rain and rain and rain and rain and rain on top of you. So watch out for the flooding, folks. It's going to get nasty, and you got storm surge and you got wind, and it's going to be awful. So be safe down there. And then once it starts moving, we'll just have to see where it's going to go, the direction and how fast and how much it speeds up. And who knows with this one? This one's, they're all seeming different anymore, but this is especially weird. So anyway, that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. As always, stay safe, wear your mask, socially distance if you have to go out, stay away from people as much as you can. Stay safe, stay healthy. If you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button so you keep up with what we're doing with all our crazy stuff that goes on all the time around here and our goofy interview shows and our stuff with Pete and John. Those shows have just been so good lately. We did the one from Minnesota Sunday. We've had 4,000 views on that one, and I was shocked, but it was a great show. They've been such good shows, and we've had such wonderful guests, and we keep just getting great guests. So, keep your eyes open when we are promoting those. But anyway, that's going to wrap me up for today, guys. I'll get out of here. You guys have a great day. I'll see you on Thursday, if not beforehand, if something major happens. So this is the Fat Travel Guy. You guys have a great day. See you Thursday.
Thank you for watching today's Travel and Cruise Industry News. Join us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern for another episode. Travel and Cruise Industry News is a production of Chili's Cruises.